You all know Dragon Ball, the famous series that the manga started in 1983 and the anime started in 1986 and continued on to be popular in the late 90s and early 2000s, and then eventually got a new adaptation being Dragon Ball Super in 2015 that ended in 2018. And then once the anime ended, we of course only had the manga left. The manga took a little while to catch up to where the anime was, but then after that we got straight on with new content. And then we got the Moro arc. But the thing is, the Moro arc is now coming to an end. It's taken like 2 years for it to finish, but in December of 2020, we will be getting a new arc of Dragon Ball. And today I wanted to make a video about what I think may be in store for the future of the Dragon Ball series. And basically, we have seen a lot of different things in Dragon Ball, but mostly it's just been Goku finding a new kind of power-up or something that will take on the main villain at hand. Like when he first fought Frieza and he needed a power level of 1 million, when in early Dragon Ball he had a power level of like 25 or whatever. And then, so now we've escalated to the point where he can now battle gods or god level opponents, because in the manga, if you didn't know, Goku has mastered Ultra Instinct. And basically, what this means is that he is basically on the level of not just a god, but possibly the level of an angel, making him more powerful than pretty much anybody else in the series. And I feel like this is an inconsistency with the writing, and also like the writing just like writing itself into a stopping place where we first of all seen Goku be like punched or hit by other opponents. And at the beginning of Dragon Ball Super, when we saw the movie with Resurrection F, Goku was shot with a laser and he was still like very much so incapacitated. So they're kind of alluding to this thing where Goku is not as strong as he appears physically, but he can still like fight higher level opponents like gods or whatever else he's dealing with. So it kind of makes this duality between him as what we think he is like this powerhouse, and then what he ends up being at random times where he's weaker. So we really don't know what it's going to be like in his future, because him without Ultra Instinct, he's obviously like less powerful, but they're trying to make him seem like even less powerful than he is for some reason. And if he now has mastered Ultra Instinct, then there's not really much of a purpose for what he can be doing moving forward. So the only way I can see this happening where he can stop basically having this OP ability and not being able to have like a strong opponent to fight like he wants, then is pretty much his only option is probably for them to have some way where they write it so that Goku loses some kind of the powers that he has, either that being Ultra Instinct or maybe just be even God power, and him having to go back to use like regular Super Saiyan forms or some kind of other transformation like people have been wanting to see with Super Saiyan 4 or Super Saiyan 5. So yeah, and just making it canon in the actual story of the manga that's not separate from like something like GT, which is an alternate universe. And even if we see that in something like Dragon Ball Super Heroes, then it's not really like properly canon or introduced into the main storyline. So there have been a few other times where obviously they changed around the timeline a little bit. Like they changed that with Dragon Ball Super Broly. They kind of changed around what the past was really like for Goku, because obviously in the original of Dragon Ball, Goku was a baby when he first came to the planet, versus in the Dragon Ball Super movie where Goku was a little older, like closer to 3 years old, and he obviously looked a lot bigger. So they've had some inconsistencies. I feel like this is partially a problem with the new writing direction and just like not Akira Toriyama properly going at it, even though Akira Toriyama does tend to forget a lot of things about the series and certain characters that were involved. So I feel like the future of Dragon Ball, obviously Akira Toriyama doesn't have as much of or as big of a place in how the future of the story is going to go, but I feel like recently he has been saying that in one interview that I saw that he said that he appreciates more of the comedy aspect of Dragon Ball, which is what it was like at the beginning of the series. And Akira Toriyama has written other kind of comedy or gag manga like Dr. Slump. So it just goes to show that he's not really invested in the series as much as he used to be, and he was like tired when he was doing the series. So he kind of just wants to focus on having fun with the series, even if that kind of ruins the experience for all the fans involved. And the corporations and companies that are running Dragon Ball, they just are basically in it for the money at this point. So they're just trying to keep reinvigorating and keep on going with the series, even if they're now really running out of content that they could possibly do. So as I said before, one of the only ways that they can do this is take out some of the power that Goku has. So we might even be able to get more shine on characters properly, like, I don't know, any of the characters that people have been wanting to see more of for years. Like Piccolo, Gohan, anybody else, especially Gohan, because we've been wanting to see him actually get like a proper power up that actually makes him seem like badass or cool like in the story, even though in the past we just seen him become more and more like this family man after he became the scholar. He just got worse and worse as a character. So taking away the power from Goku would also be able to have him like have a more stable connection with a lot of the characters, and maybe making Goku like somewhat smarter at some point, because we've seen him as like this dumb guy that ends up getting into all these situations and just wanting to fight, and it's not like we really see him use his brain during fights either. And they were trying to introduce things with like certain techniques in Dragon Ball Super Broly, but we haven't seen anything else from that in the actual manga besides Vegeta learning new techniques, and that's kind of been a way for Vegeta to catch up to Goku. But as we saw in the manga, then that didn't even work because Vegeta was not properly able to catch up to Goku, so it doesn't even matter what they're doing. So the only way that they could improve this was P to put down Goku, and the possibility for future arcs could involve a lot of other characters that we've seen, like even people from Universe 6, and then we still have those 4 universes that were not properly explored, and I don't feel like we're going to be seeing anything like Goku fighting Zeno anytime soon, because hopefully that's not what they're trying to go for. And people have been saying that Mieris is going to come back, who is the angel that was mostly focused on and introduced in this new Moro arc. So Mieris, I feel like, is not going to come back, or if they really do, then he is not going to have the best kind of place in the story, because that would be another way that they're writing themselves back into a corner. So I feel like it would be way more logical to keep Mieris out of the story and even take away like Goku like god powers or whatever if the angels have access to that kind of manipulation of people's like powers and abilities, because obviously we've seen that people like Beerus were probably chosen to be gods, and Beerus was most likely not immortal his entire life, and people have been having theories back and forth about who is going to be like the next god of destruction for Universe 7 or whatever, and people always think it's Vegeta or Trunks or Broly, but in that case it would have to have some kind of way that they would become immortal in some kind of way. So the only way that they could do that is that they would possibly be given that power by an angel who probably has a way to control not just his abilities but people's lifespans. So that's the only way that we could see the angels get involved in like a way that they're not trying to be passive or whatever, because that's always the excuse. And that would also be a really nice way to introduce like the other universes or whatever. And that's pretty much what I think is going to happen, for just like basically giving some context in the background as well. But now I wanted to move into what I think could actually properly be like the progression of the story. And what I think is going to happen is we're going to have some sort of training arc or some kind of thing where Goku could learn some kind of new technique that does not involve Ultra Instinct, which would make him like too OP within the story or whatever. So I feel like once he goes through this training arc, which could also tie into other things, or it could continue his training arc in a different way, is that he would go to the other universes, find new opponents to train with, learn new techniques from all over the different universes, and then he would probably have to face some sort of larger opponent, and his options for that opponent could be someone that new that they introduced, like Mora was, because he was kind of just introduced with no context or background. Or it could be someone completely new, which could actually even be someone that is not properly new, but someone that we know is more powerful than anyone else in the story. And I feel like that possibility could be one of the Zenos, and that would not just involve Goku fighting, but the other opponents that he's been fighting with, and a lot of other characters that have been introduced with the story. Or it could involve not just Goku as much, or maybe involve more of Goku but not of the characters, but the other characters that are involved besides Goku would be the Angels, which we haven't gotten to see more of. So that's the only way that I could see them be introduced and we could see them properly fighting within the story. And that's pretty much it for the video. If you did like, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that other stuff. Please do share it around as well. I want the channel to keep growing. Only at 8 subscribers right now, but someday we'll grow. And that's it.